Hi there, welcome back to Being Your Ray. And you've read by the title what today's video is going to be about. So let's get into it. All right. The first idea that continues to shape my life is knowing that the only reality that exists is the one I am living right now. Please stop jeopardizing your present for a non existent future and a buried past. And I know this won't just happen by saying it to yourself because I've struggled with this one as a control freak. Meditation is the only way through which I've been able to ground myself and fully live in the present. All these plans that you keep making, waiting for a better future to arrive, are a disgrace to the gifts got today. Your future isn't real, even if you follow everything methodically. Success is not guaranteed. I love failed plans. It again serves as a reminder that my mind knows nothing and what I thought I needed wasn't leading me towards growth. And so, I'm glad that there's a higher intelligence at play all the time so that every time I fail at something, it becomes a point of reflection and I can course correct. You won't feel the need to come up with endless desires if you are able to feel enough in this very moment. And I know that sounds too good to be true. I felt the same way, which is why I keep asking you to try meditating or anything that grounds you in the present. You'll see how beautiful it is to live magnificently in this moment rather than denying it for some far off future that's mainly concerned with feeding your ego. Second, we've all got an inner guide that functions according to our unique situation. Picture this: a mentor who knows everything about you, who doesn't give vague, generalized advice, but one that is suited just for you, who can lead you to your unique truth. That's intuition, and all of us have it, but it works in subtle ways. You need to be calm enough to be able to hear it clearly, or you'll miss it. The problem is, we've become so dependent on our mind and what we see in the world that we've forgotten about our biggest superpower, which helps us to communicate with God. Intuition is literally God's way of guiding you throughout life. Why wouldn't you try to control your mind and senses on a daily basis to be able to listen to this guidance? What can be more precious than this? The safety net that can provide you with steps that no one in the world can. If you're facing any kind of suffering or confusion in your life, it's only because you've not taken the time out to work on your soul, which can connect you to higher wisdom. I can't think of one thing that's more important than cultivating your intuition through regular meditation. Third, I am just a medium through which God can work wonders. I know this can sound too spiritual, and the skeptics might think I've lost it and drop off by this point. That's okay. You're going to come to the realization sooner or later. So let's start with this idea that nothing is wrong with us. We've just not allowed our true nature to flow as it is by posing multiple barriers to it. Barriers like, what will others think of me? How can I fit into the society? How can I gain more power? How can I gain more money? And so forth and so on. Once you start to remove these barriers, you'll start uncovering who you truly are. You don't need to change yourself, you are already perfect as a soul. You simply need to remove everything that stops you from being your true self. I'm sorry for the mistakes there. Think of it as a river flowing and putting huge rocks in it that obstruct its flow. What do you do for a streamlined flow? You remove the rocks. You don't try to change the very nature of the river. You just allow it to flow naturally as it is. Compare yourself to that river and the rocks, to all those beliefs you kept adding while growing up. As a kid, you didn't have all these barriers attached to yourself, and so it was so much easier to live without any inhibitions. And then slowly, as you started growing, the number of barriers, aka rocks, in the river kept increasing to the point that you couldn't even feel yourself anymore or who you truly were. All that was left were those rocks and very little water flowing through. Till the one mighty day when the weight of the rocks became too heavy to bear and you broke down. This is a good place to begin with because this is where you start to remove each rock with love and patience, allowing yourself to feel free once again. Soon you start seeing all your problems keep reducing in number, blessings start showing up in your life. How did that happen? You just became a good medium for God to work His wonders. Life is absolutely beautiful, but we fail to see that because of all the limitations that blur our eyes, limitations that we put on ourselves. Once you learn to clean those away, you start becoming a vessel for something greater to take place. All right, one breath. That's it for today. Just had to read my journal entry. Actually, I think I mentioned it before that I would be reading from my journal entries regularly, but I haven't been doing it because I feel there is still a lot of resistance in me when it comes to reading out from my entries. So I prefer being spontaneous about it and just recording with the flow whenever I feel like I want to share some idea, and it has its own pros and cons. Reading from a journal entry has its own pros and cons that I am aware of. So yeah, but for now, my main focus is to be consistent with this and not lose momentum. S- So yeah, I might not read from the entries regularly and just wanted to inform you about that. It really depends on how I am feeling at the moment, and I have observed that every time I write something, there comes this barrier of, oh, I need to edit it and then I need to record it again. So, yeah, whereas when it comes to recording the audio directly, it's just in one go. I record everything, I edit the audio and post it. So, that's a lot more quick and easy for me, and our minds love that. So, yeah, I need to figure out a way to make the system better, but this is the one that keeps me in that momentum phase. So I am going to stick to recording audios for a while before I bring in like an articulated piece to you. I don't know if that is something you'd be interested in. I might experiment. Let's see. Things are like quite, what do you call? I'm not trying to hyper focus on one way of making these episodes. So we'll see based on my comfort level and whatever response I get from you guys. अभी के लिए तो कोई response नहीं है, तो मुझे कोई idea नहीं है कि मैं कैसे बनाऊँ चीज़ें. But yeah, hopefully when I have enough input and I understand what's the best way to go about it, I will try to boil down on what is it that works both for me and for you guys, and then we can take things ahead from there. All right, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.